Hello, everybody. My name is Diana, and this is Kristen, and we work for Mosaic, which is the marketing company for Acosta, which is a large sales and marketing company. So we're here today to talk to you about considering the human experience beyond in today's tech world. So we're kind of excited to talk about this because most of everything that we hear about, which is super important and foundational and critical, is the technology part of it, and the A/B testing, and the quantitative analysis, and the continuous improvement. So that is clearly important. This is kind of the layer on top of that to consider as you're moving forward. So what does it really mean? And I think that's interesting. So, Kristen's 16-year-old niece has it's an appendage, it's part of her DNA, technology. She was born with it. That's like the first learning, that's where her friends are, right? My son, who's just turned 24, started life without it and adopted life with it, so it's very much a part of his life. And then there's the 30-somethings and the elder generations, the Gen Xers, that have really, it's part of, they use it, but it's not part of the core foundation of who we are. And I think one thing that was very interesting that I actually read over the weekend from Jeff Bezos, I was reading, I don't know if you guys read this, that he's banning PowerPoint presentations from his executive room. So he's not letting people present in bullets. He's all about the narrative, and I think that's really important because that's kind of what we're talking about today. If there's one thing you remember, it's when shoppers land on your page and see your product detail pages, it's a narrative. It's your opportunity to sell your brand. I think what you'll see throughout today is that it's not just a matter of taking pictures of your package and putting it on there. It goes a lot deeper than that. And the more effort you put into it, and I don't mean effort in terms of dollars, I mean effort in terms of thinking through it, the better off it's going to be. So we wanted to go back in time and show this. I think this is Amazon circa mid-2000s, bookseller for the most part. It was cool in its day, right? It was really cool technology. It was an interesting user experience. And today, this is not Amazon, but this is a typical user experience, right? This is where you start out when you're in a development mode. There's boxes. You need to fill the boxes. And again, what we're saying today is what you put in those boxes from a communication and behavior standpoint is super important. Don't just cut and paste things and put them in there. So it's more than filling out a template. It's an art and the science. Clearly, the science is really important, but so is the art. So we kind of wrap it around, it's about behavior. So when somebody comes to your product detail page, whether it's the detail page or the A+ content, you have to understand, is it relevant to me? Does it tug at my heartstrings? Do I have emotion, whether it's funny, serious, is it appealing? So all of these things take into account how shoppers engage with you on your product detail page. We have an alliance through Acosta with content analytics, and we wanted to share this example with you because we found it very interesting. So there's lots of scores that are super important here. It's a very important, like I said, key indicator for us. It tells you, are your products in stock? Do you have the images? Do you have the image boxes checked? Do you have 4 or 5 images? Do you have the right number of bullets? So it's really a measure of content health. Most brands, you can see from this page, need help by the score. This one gets a 92, that's a pretty good score, over an A, right? Pushing to an A+. Well, here's the brands. It's Pirate's Booty. Here's one of the many examples that aggregated that. So when you start to look at it, you start to see, okay, that package is really not optimized for the web. I think that was talked about a few times. Looks like somebody literally took a picture with their cell phone with it. If you start poking around on Amazon, you see a lot of CPG companies and brands really perfecting this through product renderings or photography that doesn't have all that glare. And then the ingredients, all of it is just not, it's kind of flat. It's what you would almost expect to pick up in a store and see, but it's not very engaging. Here's another example. This one to us is even worse, where you've got a rendering on the front, you've got a picture of the actual package on the back, and somebody literally clipped out the ingredients on it. Not really cool. And the bullet copy is functional, but doesn't really make you want to fall in love and really want to buy that brand. So one of the takeaways is the rules of brick and mortar are quite different than the rules of e-commerce, right? In brick and mortar, you have your package and it needs to look good and it needs to be represented on the shelf physically in the store. When you're in e-commerce, you have the ability to do so much more. You have the ability to bring it to life, to physically see it, show the inside of it. So it's really not, it's not a direct translation. It's quite different.
Yeah, you can click for me. That's cool. So we call it experience all sides. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay. Experience all sides. So basically, if the user or the shopper is the most important variable here, then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what's important to them? What are they looking for? And what can we do as the sellers in this situation? Help allow them to find what they're interested in. If that's the key, then you have to imagine that all sides of communication are important, right? So when we say experience all sides, we're not saying literally show every side of the package. We're saying make sure that you're giving the shopper the tools that they need to understand what is important to them in light of the purchase that they're looking to make or the consideration that they've built potentially for your product. So obviously product benefits, consumer benefit, what's in it for me, how might I use this, what's the occasion beyond just what the package says, what are other lifestyle relevancy communications. There's an infinite number of variables at play when you're inside that digital shelf, quite unlike brick and mortar. And today we're going to take you through the 4 most fundamental of those, okay? The first being the ability to touch, which obviously inside of e-commerce is a little bit more virtually based, but it allows you to experience the product in a very different way. This is one of our favorites. It's a best in class, Cliff Bar. I don't know if there's anyone that works on Cliff Bar in here, but we think it's amazing for a lot of different reasons. Not the least of which is the fact that the quality of the image is so stellar. It's a beautifully rendered package that you can zoom in on with your cell phone, and that might seem rather trite or like whatever. I got so many other things to focus on, but that's the game, right? Because so many of your shoppers can actually buy their products off their phone, and if they can't actually visibly see your product and see it well, to sort of believe that that's a product that they need for some reason or might want, then you're kind of missing the mark. But this one does even more, and this is just the product detail page. So it's the top half of the space on Amazon's website, and you can see that the brand's working their equity really hard. So even in the nutritional label, which often is just the nutritional label for a lot of products, here they've brought the equity right up into the surround. So you're starting to see what the brand's about. They're placing the product inside of the environment of where you might enjoy it. So hey, go hiking. Cliff Bar is a brand that allows you to enjoy this kind of lifestyle. Taste appeal. Who would think you could have that kind of taste appeal on a very static image, right? So just one example we think is pretty amazing. And they include the benefit, not just through words, but through visual, as a way to have that more immediate experience and visual connection for the shopper navigating. Probably click. Who would have thought popcorn could be appetizing? So this is an Amazon-specific SKU, and we like it because they've brought taste appeal to it. I like popcorn. Well, now I have like 50 more reasons why I might buy popcorn that I never thought of before, right? So putting it inside the occasion, creating a little bit more of a dramatized event, showing different recipes. All of these are ways to upsell or increase basket size to have people enjoy your product. Another good example, so Gillette does a great job in brick and mortar. They're actually taking their sort of rules for success in brick and mortar into the e-commerce format and using that now in this experience all sides framework where they're giving you a demonstration of the product. So as if you're at home shaving with the razor, they're showing you a video so you can actually experience or look at what it would be like to shave with the new 5-blade, what have you. Other ways that you can bring experience all sides to your content might be a representation of the portfolio and all the different SKUs and what the various benefits are, pricing advantages, et cetera. Probably click to the next one. Cheez-It. I love Cheez-It because they didn't spend a lot of money. They didn't spend a lot of money, and they did a great job of representing their brand story, right down to the detail of how the little scalped edges of their cracker come through and frame the product detail. And they're visualizing for you the very benefit and giving you taste appeal and occasion as you navigate the PDP page. It's extraordinary, and they did not spend a lot of money. Which is tastier. So this is sort of the what not to do versus what to do, right? So whenever I can put the product into the occasion and create appetite appeal, I'm going to increase the likelihood for someone to click, I'll buy it. Which is better, just bulleted copy points, or can we help visualize the benefit in a way that now seems more relevant and is a quicker get? Because let's be real, you're traveling those pages a little faster. You're looking for the content that's going to grab your attention. This would grab your attention. And you also have to keep in mind, so I think the one on the right is Annie's. It's not bad. They've done a good job of saying, hey, here's what is good about our product, here are the benefits, but they've done a literal cut and paste off their packaging, which doesn't translate quite as well as what you see on the left. I think that's Oreo, always made with real cocoa. I mean, it's so much more powerful to visualize even the copy as a way to arrest your attention as a shopper. Blue, extraordinary brand. If any of you have dogs, this is sort of the uber premium of pet food brands. They're very literal about the all sides, right? They are actually showing you every single side of their package, but this is not how you shop online. This is how you shop in brick and mortar. Online, you have to have a much more visceral reaction. So if you go to the next one, Core does a much better job of creating that experience all sides. They've connected with you emotionally. They're providing you appetite appeal. They're telling you what the benefit is, and they're connecting with you in a more emotionally relevant way. Which brings us to the next one, the next critical dimension, which we call love. And love is rooted in the notion of connecting with the consumer in a really relevant way so as to be sticking. And Oreo is another best in class for us. This is a SKU that they've actually originated specifically for commerce. This is not a pack that you will find anywhere in brick and mortar. It is a gift, a gifting occasion. Crushed it, thank you, happy birthday. You smart cookie. They've brought life and personality and occasion into their SKU, and they've created lots of opportunity for you to shop, and they've created an actual assortment that's unique for the format. I think it's pretty amazing. Bose, we're not gonna play all of our videos here either. We're gonna skip some of those problems. But Bose, like any consumer electronics brand, does a terrific job of bringing to life and helping to tell a story about their brand so that as a consumer you can fall in love and almost imagine yourself enjoying the product. In this case, when you do play, the audio allows you to experience what that tremendous premium sound quality would be like, right? So and that's what you're gonna want. You wanna understand what is that product benefit, what's the value that I'm buying as a shopper. Depends, so you might laugh, but hey, this is a very real category, and here's the opportunity for these kinds of brands and categories inside of e-commerce. This is a category that in brick and mortar would otherwise create a lot of stigma. It's not a category I feel confident shopping in brick and mortar, at least not slow or taking my time. I might bring you kind of a little in and out. I don't want people to know that I'm in the category because I'm embarrassed about it potentially. But now in the digital world, I have time to navigate. And now as a manufacturer, we have the obligation, an opportunity to tell more of a story where they fall in love. And in this case, present a solution that makes sense for the target. Love Swell, simple package design, beautiful product, makes you fall in love with the brand. The brand is important. The story of your brand is important. I love Swell. I love this bottle. And in this case, the simple photography with the product cased inside a lifestyle shot with the right color cues. This was not a lot of money. And boom, I've established an emotional connection. I kind of love the brand. And I can see myself with this product in that occasion. Everyone loves babies. I think what's neat about this one is you actually have a little of the functional as well as the emotional. Obviously, a smiling face of a baby makes everyone smile, certainly all the moms in the room. But in this case, they're also showing you the product in use, which has an even stronger emotional connection for any parent that's worried about the type of product that they're putting on their baby and the care of their baby, right? Just a stronger, richer connection that makes you believe in the quality of the brand.
Okay, so then there's also brand identity. So we're in the branding camp. We think that having your brand identity represented properly on e-commerce is super important. And so here's kind of how we break it down. We break it down into these 4 buckets, but I don't need to go through each one of them. But the important thing is that these iconic brands have imagery and iconography that definitely brings it to brand. I mean, everybody knows Oreo, right? It's Milk's favorite cookie. And you know, the shape of the Oreo, all of that is important to think through as your brand as you carry it through the product detail page. So here you go, they launched Oreo Thins. And how cool is it with the imagery that they have on the page? Like, all that imagery is reinforcing. You dunk it in something, but it's also so thin that it just stands on top of different things. So bringing to life the thin. So again, another way to bring that experience to life on e-commerce. And here they're doing a great job of cross-selling. So not only are they talking about their thins, but they're talking about their other brands in a meaningful way. So helping to build the brand, that's their enhanced content. Same thing with Goldfish. I mean, again, a really popular brand, people know it, but when you break it down to the important elements, what are they? Like the cheese block over, oops. The cheese block, like right here, becomes an important element in it. So it's taking the elements apart and knowing how to bring them to life in the imagery that you're building. And here's an example of it. So baked with real cheese, right? You could just put the ingredient label on there, but they chose to put the cheese icon. Just even if you don't read the ingredients, you kind of get that there's real cheese in it. And again, in their enhanced content area, they do a phenomenal job of bringing the Goldfish to life in a way, cross-selling the different options, their own icons they bring to life, as well as they put it in occasion situations, so it kind of inspires you. All the different ways you could use Goldfish as opposed to just putting in a lunchbox for a snack. And this is a simple example, like this quinoa, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they clearly communicated a benefit with using icons. So it doesn't have to like be a hugely expensive custom photography. As long as it's simple to understand, you can read it on your mobile phone, it works. Here's a bad example. I love Lindt chocolate, it's one of my favorite chocolates, but they're missing so many opportunities. This looks like it should be on a counter in a store, right? In a brick and mortar store, not in an e-commerce store. They're missing the boat, right? You can't see the chocolate. You don't see it in an environment, right? So definitely a missed opportunity there versus look at Dove. They figured it out. They did a great job with it. They have great icons and images, but they've also pulled the chocolate out of the bag and show you the insides. So they've also, if you notice that swoosh that's over here, they picked that up from the logo. So was it really expensive to design that? No, but it was thoughtful in terms of picking up the D of the Dove logo. So things like that all help build your brand, and it's really important when there's, I don't know how many millions and millions of products on Amazon. And then last is usage. This is one of my favorite ones because we're starting to see more and more of this now. So this one's an example of partnership. So it's Doritos and Mountain Dew. They're owned by the same company, but they literally have a SKU for sale where you can buy both. You can buy Mountain Dew Ice and the Doritos bag in your cart, done. So it's kind of a pairing solution, if you will. Build Basket, this is really cool. I think it was on Prime Day. Here's a great cross-sell, right? All the different Pringles flavors. So what they're suggesting here is buy the different flavors, stack them, and then eat them. Another great Build Basket opportunity. This one is, the product detail page is not great, but what we loved about it is that they did a promotional offer with it. So you buy the product, you get the bag clip. Kind of cool. And then last but not least, this is my personal favorite brand, Method. Simple, right? Within their images, they show you the different scents that you can buy. They also give you a sampling of the different products that they sell. So they make it really easy. It's right there for you. And then comparative selling, Bose, I mean, they're awesome, right? But they even have this is digital, so you can flip through on the right side and it compares their different earphones for you so that you can see like what the features and benefits are and how they compare to each other. And then occasion selling. So again, in the absence of innovation, what can you do? So Jolly Rancher is the brand that's over there on the left. They're giving you solutions. Like you can make lollipops with Jolly Rancher. You can crush them and put them on top of cupcakes if you like super sweet stuff. And then Smart Food over on the right is showing occasion, right? Great for tailgating. This is so much cooler than brick and mortar because you can't really do that in brick and mortar, right? You've got your brand blocks. You can do certain things, but you can't get to this level. So maximizing that real estate is a huge opportunity.
So what does all of that mean? If you're willing to believe that experience all sides is the winning ticket, then the next question should be, okay, so how do we enable that within our organizations? Or if we're very small entrepreneurs, how do we enable it within the family group that is creating our brand on a daily basis? What is success for us? The first thing we need to do is, or that you need to do, is articulate a common vision and picture of success, which I know that seems sort of trite, like, well, duh. But the reality is, we're finding that most of our clients now sort of say that they do this, but don't really do it. And there's still very much a siloed behavior that's happening within organizations, even small companies. And the idea is to get everyone on the same page so that you're collectively working together, particularly if the working analogy that so many of you are using is, we're just going to build the plane while we fly it, right? That's the analogy. I don't have a lot of money. I got to figure it out as I go. But go ahead, just click it. This is actually funny. So this would be the bad interpretation of the analogy. Oh, total miss, uncoordinated effort. So you can't just say you want to build a plane while you fly it. You have to put a little bit more effort into it. This next one is a little bit better interpretation, where it's a little more cobbled together, but I'm still not getting on that plane, right? The idea here is, as organizations, we're trying to find our way together in a more meaningful way. The last one is showing you the utopia. And we're basically saying, look, you don't have to spend $1 million. You don't have to write a dissertation on your brand's purpose. You just have to have coordinated effort and be purpose-built. You need to have that level of clarity about your vision, and everyone that's in your employee, even if it's 5 people or 50 or 500, need to be on the same page, so that you're collectively working together so that you can build the plane as you fly it. The second thing we think is meaningful here is to operate against scale. So budget's really important. And while there are multiple dimensions to create that relevant consumer or shopper experience for your brand, at the end of the day, those 4 that we just went through are the most important, right? They got to be able to see it. They got to be able to touch it. They need to be able to identify it, and they need to know how to use it. That's super simple, hard to do sometimes, but that's as basic as it gets. Do they know you? Do they know how to use you? Do they understand? If we start to build off those basic principles, we're going to be a little bit more successful. And then this is where you have the slide at the end that says, what's the future? It's a very big cliche of what's next. You all know what's next. We have chat box. You have voice recognition. You have augmented reality. I think what's interesting is, we've just told you about experience all sides, and even as we stand here, that's changing, that's evolving. We can imagine a future wherein the experience all sides is very personalized, right? That PDP page, imagine if that content is based on very individual behavior. That's here. So I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you. Questions?
No questions. We did get the afternoon group tired.
Cool.
All right.